Just ahead on American Black Journal, a professional women's group unites to help children who were affected by the Flint water crisis. We'll get the details on their star-studded fundraiser. Plus, an international artist creates his first public exhibit right here in Detroit. Don't go away. American Black Journal starts right now.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
How does diversity bring energy to us all? At DTE Energy, we believe that it's the contributions of all that build great communities. As a company, we grow stronger by welcoming the unique perspectives of everyone. As community members, we support our state's broad culture and heritage. From working closely with women and minority-owned suppliers to embracing our local cultures, DTE Energy is powering diversity. The DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. The Flint water disaster is continuing to make headlines a whole year after state officials acknowledged the public health crisis. A civil lawsuit has been filed against Governor Rick Snyder, accusing him of violating state law by using taxpayer money for criminal defense attorneys. Plus, a Detroit Free Press investigation found that the state likely overpaid for emergency supplies by relying on just one vendor. Recently, business mogul Russell Simmons visited the Detroit area, and he talked with Detroit Public Television about the devastating impact of what's going on in Flint.
The cameras have been gone. We tried to bring some more awareness. I went and saw some of the same residents who I visited when the crisis was first reported, and they are in the same condition. They are still paying the bill for the same poisoned water. And their children have not healed, and it is a terrible. I mean, the same young lady who I saw that went viral on Facebook, that traveled everywhere, this story of her two children. I saw those two children again, and we still have to care for them for the rest of their life. They're still poisoned. It's the same reality for the residents of Flint. And the cameras have gone, but the reality is still there. And so we have to start a process to create awareness. We came up with many different solutions, but there's going to be an ongoing process with many solutions and a constant push. You know, you would think that the governor would be in jail by now. You would think that the people responsible for poisoning the people of Flint would be held accountable, not the people that they indicted who are low level, who just went along with the program, but the people who okayed the program are not indicted yet. So we have a long process. We got to stay on them. And I'm happy to go back again and again until justice is served. What makes Flint so terrible is that it was intentional. Other places, it's, oh, look what popped up. Horrible, but not intentional. So we want to make sure that it never happens by intention again. And of course, we want to put legislation in place that protects environments from this kind of environmental racism, and that's what this is in this case, and contamination of people's resources. The reality is this society is fascinated with celebrity, and sometimes my voice rings louder than the next man's. And so when I go to Flint and I put it on my social media, there's 7 million people. Then someone else who's watching my social media puts it on theirs, and it becomes a multiple of that. People get to see this reality when without that visibility, it would go under the radar, and people would remain in the same condition. But I think bringing Attorney Crump, Ben Crump, who is famous with me, and going and creating a news cycle, at least in the environment, and it's gone viral and national in some cases. So that's an important thing. I mean, you know, you're blessed when you have a chance to move people, and you should use it to move people for good. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Some pretty strong accusatory words there from Russell Simmons. The Michigan chapters of the Lynx Incorporated are doing what they can to ensure a healthier future for children in Flint. They're holding a fundraiser, concert, and dance to benefit programs for families who are impacted by the lead-contaminated water. Joining me now is Linda Ware-Smith from the Oakland County chapter of the Lynx. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's first talk about the Lynx, what that is and why you're involved in the Flint water crisis.
The Lynx is an international organization It was established in 1946. It consists of African American and African ancestry women. And it was basically established as a volunteer organization and to service the community, especially African American communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have 14,000 members, 283 chapters across 41 states, and that also includes the District of Columbia and the Bahamas.
Yeah, and one of the things that I know about the links is that this service component, this idea of doing things to improve the community, is a huge part of it. Here, of course, great need in Flint to try to help the people there. As we saw in the video, the conditions have, sadly not really changed over a year. This seems like the perfect kind of situation for the Links to get involved in.
That's exactly right. That's what we do, is we serve the communities in which we live in to help make them better.
So talk about this fundraiser. How's that going to work?
Well, we are very excited about our fundraiser. It's a Michigan Links Incorporated Chapters for Flint Kids, and it is a concert and a dance that will be held at Motor City Soundboard, which is located inside the Motor City Casino. Yes, and hotel. And it's going to be on Saturday, October 22nd at 7 p.m.
And the dance and the benefit. Talk about some of the people who people will see at the concert and things.
Yes, yes. We will have entertainers. We've got the Dramatics featuring Willie Ford. We also have Randy Scott, the saxophonist, who's also from the Detroit area. We will have R&B singer Millie Scott, as well as the Velvelettes, which some of the Velvelettes are native Flint residents.
Yeah. What made you pick Flint for this particular fundraiser, and then talk about what the money will go to do specifically in Flint?
Well, as you know, and we've discussed, the Flint community is in need, and we do have a chapter in Flint. And so all of us collectively came together. There's a total of 9 chapters in the Michigan, in the state of Michigan, and we all got together collectively and said, hey, we need to take our concern and our resources to help the people or the children in Flint.
Yeah. And so the money will go to what specifically there?
It goes to the Links Foundation to help with our transformational programming, to help serve the children of Flint.
Yeah. Well, the children are the ones who, of course, are more affected by this than other people. That's going to be a very long haul, sort of trying to figure out what it is they need and getting it for them. Talk about some of the other things that the Links do service-wise here in the state of Michigan.
We do quite a bit. In all of the different chapters, as I mentioned, the 9 chapters have different programs and activities throughout the year to help support communities that are in need. I am with the Oakland County Michigan chapter, and we focus a lot on the youth and the health needs of the youth. So you will find that. We also do international activities as a whole, the Links Incorporated. We also have a big focus on health and human services within our communities that we serve. So there's quite a bit of activities. We always have different types of fundraisers. Each chapter has fundraisers on an annual basis or biannual basis. And so this is the first time ever that the 9 chapters in the state of Michigan,
all working together.
Yes, have come together because this is so critical.
Yeah. When you talk about the health needs of kids in Oakland County, I mean, obviously Oakland County is changing, and there's more poverty in Oakland County than there used to be. There are more needs in Oakland County. Are those the kind of things that you guys are seeing and responding to?
Exactly. We focus on the Pontiac area, is where we primarily work at, and we work closely with the Pontiac school system. We have a variety of different programs, like we've helped them put in a garden at the middle school. And we have different health programs going on. For example, tomorrow we are putting together kits, health kits for them, and we actually have an exchange with a group of students in Haiti. And but we do a variety of different things. Back
to the fundraiser. How can people get tickets to go?
Good question. The public is invited.
Yeah.
If anyone is interested in attending, coming out and supporting our effort. To purchase tickets or to make a donation, you can go to the website www.michiganlinksforflintkids.eventbrite.com.
When you think about what's happened in Flint, and again the tragedy that's befallen the children there in particular, and you think about the help that they need, what are some of the things? I mean, I don't know if you've been to Flint yet to see what goes on there, but what are some of the things that you think we really need to focus on there in the long term, the things that are not just about cleaning up the water, but the other needs that they have?
Well, it's providing supplies.
Yeah.
See how we can help, because we know that this is going to be very long term for the children of Flint.
Yeah.
You know, so we're making sure that they will be taken care of in whatever they need, food wise, health wise, whatever the needs may be, to help the children. Because of the effects that this can have on them.
Right.
For the long term.
For the long term, right.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the thing that I think has been so crushing about what happened there, is that it's not something that will go away once we clean up the water there.
That's right. We are very committed to helping the Flint chapter. The whole Links Foundation is interested in helping to help these children succeed and to help them health-wise.
Right. Okay. Good luck on your fundraiser.
Thank you.
We'll get people out to go out and raise money to help the kids of Flint.
We appreciate it, and we hope that we get a lot of support.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next on American Black Journal, a public art project that pays tribute to Detroit's rich musical roots. But first, here's a look at some important moments in Detroit's Black history.
I'm Ken Coleman with a look back at African American life in Detroit. This week in 1986, a memorial to the great Joe Louis was dedicated at the corner of Jefferson Avenue and Woodward Avenue. In 1936, Roy H. Lightfoot was elected to serve as mayor of Paradise Valley, the heart of the city's black community. And in 1969, I Can't Get Next to You by The Temptations was the nation's top song.
But my life is incomplete and I'm so blue, 'cause I can't get next to you. Can't get next to you, baby. Next to you. I just can't get next to you, baby. I can't get next to you.
These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
New York-based artist Gary Simmons created his first public project in Detroit. The exhibit is a contemporary work focusing on various musical styles. The art installation is on display at 1301 Broadway in downtown Detroit. Take a look.
For me, Detroit was always a very important place for this project. So in this case, I really was interested in having a site that sort of represented both the past and the future. And I think that it's important that I was accentuating the architecture, not camouflaging the building. You know, in a lot of the installations that I'm invited to do, they're in the white box, they're in the gallery, they're in the museum, where the specifics are already mapped out for you. And in here, the challenge is how do I immerse the experience of the viewer? I think art has a great sense of power in that way. I think that just the way that I've been able to have different kinds of conversations and exchanges with people in and around the city, and you know, they're curious about what you're trying to do, and I think that art has a way of drawing different kinds of attention into a space in this particular case. And for me, it's about creating a space between representation and abstraction. It becomes a personal, but it's a collective experience at the same time.
My next guests were instrumental in bringing Gary Simmons' public work here to Detroit. I'm pleased to have Jane Shulak, founder of Culture Lab Detroit, and Brian Waldron of Bedrock here today. Welcome to American Black Journal, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk about the idea to bring Gary Simmons from New York to Detroit to share his art with us.
From LA.
From LA.
From LA.
I said New York based in the intro,
okay.
right?
So Gary, his art, first of all, I learned about Gary. He was part of, well, I've known about Gary's work for a long time, but Gary was part of the DIA show 30 Americans.
Right.
And his art is very much about social progress through art and the importance of it. So I thought that he would be, really amazing. And these posters are about music. And they're about the techno, they're featuring techno bands, punk bands, hip hop bands, and I think about 15 of them, 13 to 15 of them, are actual bands that are of Detroit. And probably all of the bands that are featured in the installation have been through Detroit. So for Culture Lab, it's a laboratory of culture, and music, art, dance is all part of the stories.
Right. Right.
It's kind of perfect.
Right, and being in the middle of what is now the new sort of look of downtown Detroit, where we're taking spaces that had not been used for a really long time and reusing them. Obviously, that would be one of Bedrock's interests, I would think.
Exactly. Anytime we have an opportunity to instill or create a culture, we jump at the opportunity. A lot of people say why. We just simply say why not.
Yeah.
If you look at that area in its totality, you've got the Z, you have the Belt, you have a gallery, art gallery there already, installation. Earlier this year we had Lupe Fiasco there for a music event. It's just a really good vibe. It creates something, it makes it a destination point. And Bedrock, we're always looking at partnering, collaborating with anybody we can. So MoCAD, Culture Lab, it all flowed for us, and we felt real comfortable doing it.
Yeah, if you're in that area a lot, I mean, you're starting to notice the appearance of more art, more physical, I can see it kind of art in a lot of spaces around there. Of course, the back of the CompuWare building is the most noticeable, but if you go around to other places, you see a lot of art, and Bedrock is responsible for a lot of that.
Yes, we are, and that. Obviously, what used to be the CompuWare building is now One Campus Marshals.
Right.
You have Shepherd Ferry.
Old school, right?
You're there. You're versed. You're there. You're vested. But you brought in Shepherd Ferry. So, anytime I think that if you look throughout history, you can go all the way back to the Renaissance. Whenever you have a lot of culture, a lot of diversity, a lot of, if you will, igniting of the minds and passion. You see the art, you see the music, it all kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So instead of doing it like every other city has always done it, Detroit's in its new stage, in its rebirth almost. We feel art, history, everything needs to be part of it. So we're very happy to be a part of it, and we're going to keep pushing the envelope and doing things maybe a lot of other real estate companies not necessarily would do.
Yeah.
And
a lot of times people wouldn't think about, how does this place feel after I renovate it?
Exactly.
What am I trying to say, maybe, about this place after I renovate it? Yeah. Jane, Culture Lab is involved in lots of really different, and I always think that what you're up to is really innovative in ways that you think about how art informs other things. It's not just art for art's sake. It's often art for the sake of talking about change or progress. These things, you have lots of different projects like that, though, going on.
Yeah, well, and I try really hard with these projects to not do art for art's sake. First of all, art is universal, culture is universal.
Sure.
And I think one of the strongest, most beautiful things that's happening in Detroit is that you're finding art and gardens are expressing themselves in these neighborhoods, and it's happening just because it's the right thing to, it's happening.
Yeah.
And that's what's driving everybody together. That's the thing that everybody talks about when they talk and think about Detroit and Bedrock. And it's so amazing. But it's a universal connector. It's really important. So with Culture Lab, I try very hard to find people and invite them as guests to Detroit that that aren't just making art for art's sake, that they want to collaborate, that they want to be a part of the scene that's already here,
Yeah.
and that art and culture are what's rebuilding the community in a way that's meaningful in so many different ways.
Yeah.
It's meaningful.
Yeah.
So.
And so this exhibit at 1301 Broadway, this is open to the public, obviously.
It's open to the public, it's free, and that's another Culture Lab thing. So I do a series of different things, but I always try to reach out to different parts of the community in different ways. So this is about music, other things that I do are about gardens,
Yeah.
discussions.
I know you're
all
big
kinds
on
of
gardens.
things. Yes.
I know that you have
Yep.
lots of gardens yourself, and you're
Yeah.
really sort of encouraging of the idea of gardens, again, as that sort of common cultural space, a
Yep.
way for people to work
To
together.
communicate and to make things and to build things together and to, celebrate the culture
Yeah.
that we all share.
Yeah.
So-
I want to go back to Bedrock for a second and talk about the area where this is, the block where this is, and sort of how important it is to be sort of lifting that block up. I mean, we see things changing pretty rapidly downtown, but we still have these sort of spots where we need to push and say, well, what could this be?
Exactly. The block itself is extremely unique because obviously 1301 Broadway is right there. You have Broadway, you have a lot of a mixture of the old with the new.
Right, you have old businesses that have been there for a really long time, still hanging in there, but new stuff's cropping up around.
No doubt. New things. We've got Punch Bowl Social, which is one of our first large offerings on the entertainment side, and then you also have you have stalemates. Henry the Hatter. That go back longer than me and you. We put our age together on top of everybody, and that's where they're.
Right.
And then you look at what we've done also on the other side of Library Street, and we've had a ground-up development that is the Z Garage that in itself is an art installation. The DIA, they bring people through during the summertime for visits.
See all the murals on the walls on the different floors, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the thing is, that's just our first offering, to be honest. We have a lot of other things in works and in plans, and we're just going to continue to grow, continue to create that environment where, just from a cultural standpoint, you see a lot of growth. And I think for everything that's happening in Detroit on the outside, maybe not so much we don't even understand it ourselves, but Detroit has a significant art scene.
Sure.
That's very well respected. And music goes without saying. So we're just here to kind of push the envelope and continue to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Can I
Go ahead,
say
Jane.
one thing that it's really great? What I do with Culture Lab is everything I do is a collaboration also. So I don't exist without people like Brian and everybody else in the community. And it was really, really important that Bedrock, it's been a wonderful collaboration that they would want to do this project with me, with Culture Lab, and with MoCAD also, because that's what, that's the strength in what's happening in Detroit that we're all recognizing and trying to work together.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the most important piece.
What are you seeing just in the last few years in terms of, it seems like there's an acceleration of the way that art is driving the conversation about how Detroit is changing. Do you see that as well?
I think there's an acceleration only in that, well, I think, there's an acceleration because some of the projects that were started several years ago are starting to actually make sense and make a difference. And I think that's what we're all feeling. There's situations, things that are going on in the North End, things that are going on in Southwest, things that are going on in Brightmoor, and we're all starting to see the results, whether it's, feeding the neighborhood, getting more kids engaged, making projects that are bigger, stronger, more visible. And the partnerships everybody's starting to get used to each other and starting to see that, if we do this together, that it can actually, something can really
that blending
happen.
of old and new can actually create something, a third way being new.
Right, and for me, it's the most exciting part, actually, is to see that. happening and to
Okay.
learn.
Congratulations to both of you on the installation, and thanks for being here.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Finally, here's a quick look at what is coming up this week. Detroiter Lenny Sinclair will receive a commemorative monograph for being selected as this year's Kresge Eminent Artist. The free celebration of Sinclair's work takes place on Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. And on Thursday, the University of Michigan Board of Regents is going to consider the appointment of Vice Provost Robert Sellers, who was a guest on this show, as the university's first ever Chief Diversity Officer. The recommendation comes from U of M President Mark Schlissel, and it's part of a new $85 million plan to promote diversity and inclusion on campus. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
How does diversity bring energy to us all? At DTE Energy, we believe that it's the contributions of all that build great communities. As a company, we grow stronger by welcoming the unique perspectives of everyone. As community members, we support our state's broad culture and heritage. From working closely with women and minority-owned suppliers to embracing our local cultures, DTE Energy is powering diversity. The DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television.